First speaker tonight is Mandy Cooley. Mandy is a lifelong learner, licensed teacher, and certified coach. She has over a decade of experience in traditional public school classroom and another 10 plus years experience coaching, teaching, and leading personal and professional growth. Her passion is walking alongside those seeking healthier and more effective ways to achieve their goals and watching them develop new patterns of life experience. Mandy is also a wife, a mom of 2 boys, and an Enneagram 2, an accidental farmer, and a grace-dependent yogi. Please help me welcome Mandy Cooley to the Spark stage.
Like most teachers, I started my teaching career with the toys in my childhood class, or my childhood bedroom. I taught them things like 2 + 2 is 4, and where Dick and Jane went on their adventures. At age 22, I walked into my first real classroom with real live students, with all of my college experience, my student teaching experience in college classes tucked neatly in my back pocket. I was ready to impart wisdom. It took me exactly 3 weeks to realize that I had pretty much learned nothing in college that was going to translate to practical experience in the classroom. Sitting in the middle of the second row of desks was a senior in my sophomore English class. He had taken and failed the class 4 times before we met, and he showed up 3 times in 3 weeks. So when I tried to engage him in a very exciting discussion over Brutus's soliloquy in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, he promptly responded with, "F off, lady." Only he didn't say F. There was another teacher walking by at the time, and she grabbed him out of the classroom and escorted him to the office because I was not the first teacher that he had cussed out, and he had just earned himself an expulsion. This wrecked me. I wanted to teach students. I did not want to kick them out of my class. And it seemed like I had done something wrong. There were many people around me at the time, maybe even some of you tonight, who heard that story and said, he was the problem, not you. But it felt like I had made a mistake. So I started a little experiment. I set aside the first 10 or so minutes of every 90-minute class period to just talk to my students. It looked a little bit like I was slacking off, and it sounded a lot like conversations about when they had last had a meal, how many hours of sleep they got the night before, how to have a healthy breakfast, that didn't include a Red Bull and a honey bun. What my students began to learn was less about what I was supposed to be teaching them and more about the fact that I cared about them and about their lives. They learned that if they had not had breakfast that morning, there was something in the bottom left drawer for them that they could find. They found that there was connection. They found that if life outside of school got rough, they could have a safe place to land. When I first started teaching, I thought I would measure success by how many students knew the difference between a gerund and a participle, or how many took college credits with them when they graduated from high school. But what I learned when I was supposed to be teaching is that the standards and the content that the Department of Education says matter pale in comparison to the lessons that my students showed me that they needed. The lessons that came when I set aside my lesson plans for a brief moment and just built connection and showed them how to be patient and showed them how to show up for someone with no expectation of anything in return. I suspect that my students probably still don't remember the difference between a gerund and a participle. But I do know that my students remember that I worked hard to make them feel important. And when they felt important, they were able to fully engage in the learning that I had prepared for that day, and we achieved so much more than I ever could have expected. Thank you.
Don't delay. Get your ticket for the next Sparks event today.